It makes us feel that it's not just a group of token women designers, but they really are physically, and the idea of craft and things that are made that are very personal and emotional. It was extraordinary to see, and talking to some of the department stores in the...
You can't bully my staff. 5 words. That's all it took to shake Paris Fashion Week to its core. Not a slap, not a scandal, just 5 ice-cold words from Anna Wintour that stopped Meghan Markle dead in her tracks. Picture this, champagne flowing, cameras flashing, the world's biggest names sitting front row at Balenciaga. Everything's glittering and perfect until suddenly voices get raised backstage. Anna Wintour, the woman who never loses her cool, publicly calling out a duchess, and the whole thing, someone caught it on camera.
Everything's great.
What you're about to hear isn't just some celebrity drama. This is a full-on collision between 2 empires. Old money silence versus new money spectacle. Royal glamour versus fashion royalty. And when that 30-second clip leaked online, it didn't just go viral. It shifted careers, closed doors, and showed the world what happens when you step into Anna's kingdom and break the rules. Now, before we dive into what actually went down that night, and listen, the backstage chaos is insane. Smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see more stories like this. We're talking leaked recordings, people from Meghan's own circle spilling everything, and a move from Anna so cold it made the fashion world go completely quiet.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Everything's great. Bye.
Hit the notification bell too, because you're not going to want to miss what's coming. This story, it's got twists you won't see coming. All right, let's get into it. Hours before Anna Wintour said those 5 words, something was already off. You could feel it in the air outside the Balenciaga venue. Security guards weren't just standing around looking bored like they usually do at these things. They were talking into earpieces, pacing, checking their watches. Staff members looked like they were bracing for impact. One assistant rushed past a photographer, clutching her clipboard so tight her knuckles went white.
So, Pier Paolo Piccioli just showed his debut Balenciaga collection, and the wildest part for me was not even the clothes.
Under her breath, she muttered something that made everyone nearby stop. She's on her way. And it wasn't excitement in her voice, it was straight up dread, because when Meghan Markle shows up anywhere, it's not just an entrance, it's a whole production. And Paris was about to get the full show. The convoy appeared around the corner like something out of a presidential visit, not a fashion show. A black limousine flanked by tinted SUVs on both sides. Car doors slammed in perfect sequence. Flashbulbs started popping before she even stepped out.
No wonder Christine Scott ignored Meghan's attempts to approach her, but shows great respect for Queen Elizabeth. Recently, Meghan made her...
And when she did, all white, head to toe, a Balenciaga ensemble that screamed control, purity, perfection. Her chin raised just enough to make a statement, like the entire city of Paris should bow back. Photographers went wild. The crowd outside pushed forward, but if you were watching closely, you'd notice something weird. The usual energy you get when a celebrity arrives, that excited buzz, it wasn't there. People were watching her, sure, but they were studying her, waiting to see what she'd do next.
What do you mean you're mad about Meghan Markle's walk? If all those cameras are on me, I'm getting pictures taken.
Inside the venue, the atmosphere was completely different. Paris Fashion Week isn't Hollywood. It's quieter, sharper. Everything runs on old rules and unspoken respect. Every designer, every editor, every single seat in that room carries history, and sitting right there in the center of the front row, perfectly composed, was Anna Wintour. Now watch this. The second Meghan walked into that room, Anna's posture changed. Not dramatically. Anna doesn't do dramatic, but her back straightened just slightly. Her signature sunglasses stayed on, but something shifted. Everyone who knows Anna knows what that means. She'd already clocked the situation. The vibe in that room? Electric, tense, like watching 2 storms starting to circle each other, and everyone else just trying not to get caught in the middle. Meghan's heels clicked against the marble floor. Every eye in the room turned. Her team moved around her like a protective shield, already talking to attendants, already making adjustments. And that's when things started to get interesting. Because Meghan's people had requests, a lot of them. So Meghan's inside now and her team.
Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour loudly boos at Meghan Markle as she's dragged out of Olympic Games 2024.
They're already making moves. Within minutes, they're talking to the Balenciaga coordinators about seating. Not suggestions, demands. They want changes, adjustments, repositioning. Problem is, those seats, they'd been finalized weeks ago. Every spot carefully planned, every placement deliberate. And the seat Meghan's team wanted, it belonged to Vogue's deputy editor, already confirmed, already done. The coordinator tried to explain this politely. You know, the whole, we appreciate the interest, but everything's set approach. But Meghan's response, it spread through that room faster than wildfire.
Anna Wintour said NO. WWE headquarters in chaos as Anna Wintour kicks out Meghan from Gala 2024.
Maybe she won't mind sharing the spotlight. People heard that line and just stopped. Mid-conversation, mid-sip of champagne, everything paused for a second. Because in Paris, at Fashion Week, you don't talk like that. You just don't. And Anna, her sunglasses lowered just slightly. Just enough for her eyes to lock directly on Meghan for the first time that night. No smile, no reaction, just that look. But listen to this. It gets better. Or worse, depending on how you see it. Before the show even started, Meghan's team had called the Balenciaga people about lighting.
Let's go down to Anne Widdecombe. Anne, you get mentioned in the series. Were you expecting that, and what was your reaction?
Specifically, they wanted the lighting adjusted for Meghan's section, for her seat, at a guest appearance. The French organizers literally laughed when they got that call. One of them told a colleague, "This isn't a film set." What does she think this is? Because here's the thing about Paris Fashion Week. There are rules. Unspoken, unwritten, but absolutely ironclad. You don't bring your own videographer, you don't request lighting changes, you don't rearrange seating charts. You're invited into this world and you respect how it works.
The buzz around the Graham Norton show was louder than ever that evening. Producers had promised a special royal guest.
But Meghan's team kept pushing, moving things around, coordinating camera angles, making sure she'd be visible from every direction. Her own personal videographer was there, positioned perfectly to catch every moment. When the lights finally dimmed and the show began, you could see the difference immediately. Everyone else in that room was watching the runway, focused, respectful, taking in the collection. Meghan, she was performing, clapping too loudly at certain pieces, leaning over to whisper to her assistant, adjusting her coat for the cameras. Every movement calculated, every expression timed perfectly for whoever was filming. One editor sitting 2 rows back whispered to her colleague, "Who's she performing for? The clothes or the internet?" The answer was obvious. Staff members along the sides were getting more uncomfortable by the minute. You could see it in their faces, this tight, nervous energy. They'd dealt with celebrities before, plenty of them. But this felt different. This felt like the entire carefully constructed event was being hijacked, turned into someone else's personal content shoot.
Meghan Markle reportedly had a full meltdown, and this time, according to Neil Sean, she allegedly lost it over Victoria Beckham.
And through all of it, Anna sat perfectly still, hands folded in her lap, expression unreadable behind those dark glasses. But people who've worked with her for years could tell she was taking notes, mental ones, the kind that don't go away. The show continued, models walked, the audience applauded. But backstage, something was about to happen that would turn this whole night upside down. The final model walked off the runway. Applause filled the room. People started standing, gathering their things, the usual post-show buzz beginning.
Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Most guests would wait for the proper time to mingle, maybe grab a glass of champagne, follow the flow. Meghan didn't wait. She stood up immediately and headed straight for the backstage area. Not the lounge where guests were supposed to go. Not the designated mingling space. Backstage. The actual backstage, where models were changing, where racks of clothes lined the walls, where staff were trying to pack up a show that literally just ended. A young assistant saw her coming and quickly stepped forward, polite smile, clipboard in hand, trying to do her job.
Ah, yes. Another day. Another Meghan moment. Just when the internet was recovering from her Paris fashion.
Madam Markle, would you prefer to wait in the private lounge while we prepare the space? Meghan stopped, turned her head slowly, and the look on her face, you could feel the temperature drop. Do I look like someone who waits? The assistant blinked, tried to recover. Of course not, I just meant, but Meghan wasn't done. She adjusted her white jacket and dropped this line. I was invited personally. I expect to be treated accordingly. Now, to most people watching, that might have sounded reasonable, but to everyone working that event, that was a problem.
Okay, picture this. Meghan Markle strutting out of Paris hotel like she's just won America's Next Top Duchess.
Because personal invitation or not, backstage protocol is backstage protocol. Designers are doing press. Models are changing. The space is controlled chaos that only works because everyone follows the system. Meghan's team was already moving past the assistant, pushing through, her security creating a path, her videographer right behind her, filming everything. Staff members tried to step aside without dropping the clothing racks they were moving. Someone's heel caught on a power cord.
How did you arrive at your own uniform, and is uniform the best solution for a working woman?
The whole carefully orchestrated backstage flow just stopped. One intern, couldn't have been more than 22, tried to politely redirect them. She was nearly shaking but doing her best. I'm so sorry, but the models need this space to change. If you could just give us a few. Meghan's aide cut her off. Not Meghan herself this time, but her team. She'll be quick. Just step aside. The intern froze. Her face went pale. You could see her eyes starting to water, but she was trying so hard to hold it together.
Why does Anna Wintour, who has dominated the Met Gala, never take off her bob wig? No one realizes that she has paid 3 heavy prices.
Because what do you do in that situation? You're a junior staff member at one of the biggest shows of the year, and you've got a Duchess's team basically telling you to move. Other staff members noticed. A makeup artist stopped mid-pack. A stylist put down the dress she was holding. The whole backstage had gone quiet except for Meghan's team rearranging things, adjusting positions, making space where there wasn't any. And that's when someone else noticed too. Anna Wintour had been making her exit through a side corridor when she heard voices.
Meghan Markle kicked off CNN this morning after a heated dispute with Anderson Cooper. Meghan Markle was
Not the usual backstage chatter, something sharper. She stopped. Her assistant beside her looked concerned, but Anna's face? Completely calm. She turned and started walking toward the commotion. Her heels clicked against the floor in that distinctive rhythm. People recognize that sound. When Anna's walking with purpose, you feel it before you see her. She rounded the corner and took in the scene. Meghan's team crowding the space, staff members looking uncomfortable.
Buckingham Palace has declined to comment on these claims so far, but this, of course, is the answer to the question that everyone has been asking since.
And that young intern, still standing there, eyes glistening, trying not to cry. Anna removed her sunglasses, slowly, deliberately. What's going on here? Everyone stopped, and I mean everyone. The entire corridor went dead silent. The young assistant tried to smooth things over. Oh, Ms. Wintour, it's fine, really? Anna raised one hand slightly, not aggressive, just stop. That's not what I asked. Her voice was quiet but carried weight that filled the entire hallway. People who'd been pretending not to watch were now fully turned around.
I read somewhere that there were members of the royal household that were confused and upset.
Meghan turned to face her, putting on that polished smile. Anna, there's just been a small misunderstanding. I was simply, you can't bully my staff. 5 words, not loud, not dramatic, but they hit like thunder. Meghan blinked, like her brain was trying to process what just happened. Because here's the thing, when was the last time someone spoke to her like that? Straight up checked her in public? Years. You could see the shock on her face, that split second where the carefully constructed image cracked.
Somebody does something that's a little bit outside the lines and there is a big complaint on social media.
Anna took one step closer, still calm, still composed, but steel in her voice now. You're a guest here. I expect you to behave like one. The silence? Deafening. Nobody moved. Even Meghan's security looked uncomfortable. Meghan's smile vanished. Her jaw tightened. She stood there for what felt like forever, then adjusted her white coat and forced a smile. If that's how you want to handle things, I understand. Anna didn't respond, didn't nod, just stood there waiting. Meghan turned to her team.
Anna Wintour releases fresh evidence that Meghan Markle faked her pregnancy in new Vogue documentary on Disney UK.
Let's go. Just like that, she was heading for the exit. No goodbye to the designer, no photos. Her team followed like soldiers retreating from a lost battle. Whispers started immediately. Did you hear what Anna said? She actually told her off. I've never seen Anna do that, ever. Because that's the thing about Anna, she doesn't lose her temper. She doesn't need to. Her power comes from knowing exactly when to use her words. And tonight, she'd use them perfectly. Outside, Meghan's car was waiting. She walked past the photographers without a smile, no wave, no pose.
Their outfits will be something to behold. The UK event, overseen by BAFTA-winning film director Stephen Daldry, has been...
That tight, controlled look on her face, holding everything in until the door closed. She slid into the back seat. Her team piled in. As the door shut, someone mentioned coordinating a statement for social media. Meghan cut them off. Did anyone film that? The aide hesitated. Film what exactly? The conversation. With Anna, did anyone get it on camera? Pause, the kind that means yes. There were a lot of phones out backstage, it's possible. Meghan's expression didn't change, but her eyes went distant.
I think what I often see is that people are frightened of fashion and that...
She turned to the window as the car pulled away, Paris lights blurring past. She didn't know it yet, but the answer was yes. Someone had recorded everything. Anna's voice, her silence, the whole thing. And in a few days, that clip would be everywhere. 3 days later, it happened. The clip showed up online. Nobody knows exactly where it came from first. Some say Twitter, others claim it was TikTok. But within an hour, it was everywhere. And I mean everywhere. The audio was crystal clear, Anna's voice unmistakable.
Paris Fashion Week, making her first Fashion Week appearance in over a decade. The Balenciaga show was clearly meant to be her grand
You can't bully my staff. Then Meghan's stunned silence. That pause where you could practically hear her brain short-circuiting. The whole 30-second confrontation captured perfectly. The internet absolutely exploded. CNN picked it up by noon. BBC ran it on their entertainment segment. Fashion blogs were posting breakdowns frame by frame, analyzing every word, every pause, every breath. Comment sections went insane. Everyone had an opinion. They even brought AI experts on TV to analyze whether the audio was real or digitally altered.
I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I'm just going to say that applies to every adult. That applies to me. Yeah.
Can you believe that? Experts sitting there with graphs and waveforms discussing voice patterns and background noise. Like this was some kind of investigation. And through all of it, Anna Wintour said nothing. Not a word. No statement from Vogue. No comment from her team. No carefully worded Instagram post. Complete silence, which, if you know anything about how Anna operates, speaks louder than any explanation ever could. When you don't defend yourself, you're telling the world you don't need to. But here's where things got really interesting. The old guard of fashion, the editors, the designers, the people who've been in this industry for decades.
Meghan Markle's ancestors are not going to continue to let people play in her face. Breaking news out of Florida, a judge has granted Princess Meghan...
They started closing ranks, quietly, strategically. Invitations that were supposedly in the works for Meghan suddenly disappeared. Collaborations got postponed indefinitely. Calls went unanswered. And nobody said why. They didn't have to. One publicist let something slip to a friend over drinks. Got overheard, of course. We were planning to invite her to our gala next month. Then Vogue said it wasn't advisable. 2 words. Vogue said that's all it took. 2 words carrying more weight than any royal title could. Meanwhile, Meghan's team went into full damage control mode. Paparazzi photos started popping up of her leaving charity events, smiling for cameras, hugging kids, looking totally unbothered and focused on good causes. The captions all painted the same picture. She was above the drama, moving forward with grace, but people weren't buying it. The comments under those photos, brutal. You can't rebrand kindness after what we all heard. Damage control looking like damage control. Anna didn't even have to say anything and she still won.
Shocking new details of Meghan Markle's major row with Vogue magazine. And
For years, Meghan had been the master of controlling her own narrative. Every interview calculated, every public appearance staged, every message carefully crafted. She'd built her entire post-royal brand on it. But now, she wasn't controlling anything. She was reacting to it, and everyone could tell the difference. Fashion insiders started talking more openly, anonymous quotes in articles, blind items in gossip columns, all saying basically the same thing. This wasn't just about one backstage moment. This was about respecting the culture, understanding,
how insensitive it was for her to be videotaping around Diana's death scene, the fact that she was at
the rules, knowing when you're a guest in someone else's world. And Meghan had broken those rules in front of the one person who'd built that world. But the question everyone kept asking was, who leaked it? Who had their phone out backstage recording that exact moment? Was it random? Was it planned? Because here's the thing. In a world where image is everything, nothing happens by accident. And what was about to come out next would answer that question in a way nobody expected.
Prince William's bombshell interview. Now, he was never going to do a tell-all like Prince Harry.
A week after the clip went viral, a French fashion publication dropped a story that changed everything. L'Officiel de la Mode ran a piece titled The Balenciaga Backstage Incident, What Really Happened. And buried in the 3rd paragraph was a bombshell that nobody saw coming. They'd figured out who leaked the clip. Want to guess? Meghan's own junior aide, someone on her payroll, part of her inner circle. The article didn't name names, they kept the source anonymous, but they had the receipts. Messages between the aide and a fashion blogger sent days before the Paris show even happened.
Instead of being adored, they became resented. And instead of walking in Diana's footsteps, they've ended up exposing just
one text stood out, "You'll get what you need tonight." Read that again. "You'll get what you need tonight." Past tense, like it was already planned. This wasn't someone randomly pulling out their phone when drama started. This was set up from the beginning. Someone wanted Meghan exposed, and they were willing to risk everything to make it happen. The article went deeper. Turns out that aide, she had connections to Anna's world. Not directly to Anna herself, but to people in her circle. Former colleagues at Teen Vogue, friends who'd worked their way up through Condé Nast.
I told you this would happen, didn't I, right, chums? I said that this was going to be the deal. Oh, yes. If, of course, you've been...
The kind of connections that matter in fashion. Was it coordinated? Was Anna somehow involved? Nobody could prove anything. But the dots were there, and people were connecting them fast. Social media went absolutely wild with conspiracy theories. Some said Anna had orchestrated the whole thing as revenge. Others claimed it was just a disgruntled employee finally snapping after months of working for Meghan. The truth? Probably somewhere in the middle, but here's where it gets even crazier.
There's this eerie deja vu that keeps hitting you when you look at Meghan Markle's public moves. The outfits, the interviews, the hand gestures, even the eyeline.
3 days after that article dropped, an anonymous TikTok account appeared. Brand new, no followers, no history, just a blank profile with a bio that said one thing: truth from the inside. The first post, screenshots, lots of them. Messages allegedly from Meghan to her staff, demands, instructions, the kind of stuff that makes you wince when you read it. Fix this lighting before we arrive. Tell them to move me closer to the designers section. Don't let anyone film me from the left side. Ever. This coat needs steaming again. I don't care if we're running late.
Meghan Markle is gracing Instagram with a reel so try-hard, it could have been lifted straight from a 2015 lifestyle blog.
Each screenshot dated and time-stamped. Some from months ago, some from the week of Paris Fashion Week. All painting the same picture, someone who treated her team less like people and more like props in her personal production. The account posted the slideshow with one caption: "This is why I recorded her." Millions of people watched it within hours. The comments section exploded. And she talks about kindness? Her team must have been miserable. Now, the Anna thing makes total sense. For 24 hours, that account was everywhere. Fashion blogs screenshotted it.
As I said, the driving by the tunnel is one thing, but the part that gets me is the feet putting the...
News outlets tried to verify it. People debated whether the messages were real or fabricated. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. Deleted. Wiped completely. Profile gone, posts gone, everything. But the damage was done, because the internet never forgets. Those screenshots had already been saved, reposted, shared across every platform. You can delete the source, but you can't delete what thousands of people already downloaded. Word got out that Meghan's team went into full lockdown mode after that.
There's this eerie deja vu that keeps hitting you when you look at Meghan Markle's public moves. The outfits, the interviews, the hand gestures.
Staff members had their phones restricted. Emergency meetings lasted for hours. Everyone trying to figure out who the mole was, how deep the betrayal went. Whether there was more coming. One source close to the situation told a reporter that Meghan barely slept for days, convinced that someone in her inner circle, someone she trusted, someone she paid, had been working against her the whole time. And maybe they had been, or maybe they just reached a breaking point. When you treat people badly long enough, eventually one of them stops protecting you.
New York Post and Page 6, you both should be put out of business as of today because of these absolutely disgusting and morbid headlines that you put.
But while Meghan's world was spiraling into paranoia and damage control, Anna Wintour still hadn't said a single word publicly. Not about the clip, not about the leak, not about any of it. She didn't need to, because she had one more move to make. One final statement that would be so subtle, so perfectly executed, that it would end the conversation completely. Late one Tuesday evening, when most people were scrolling mindlessly through their phones before bed, a single paragraph appeared on Vogue Business.
Meghan. Once a figure presented as misunderstood, she was increasingly cast as provocative. Even sympathetic voices admit.
Not Vogue's main Instagram, not Anna's personal accounts, not even a front-page article, just a small statement buried in their industry-facing publication, the one that fashion insiders read, not the general public. The statement was so simple, it almost looked boring. Vogue remains committed to maintaining environments of respect and professionalism. Our collaborators are expected to uphold the same standards. That's it. 31 words, no names mentioned, no hashtags, no dramatic language, just cold, precise professionalism.
What happens when television's most respected interviewer sits across from one of the most polarizing figures of modern royalty?
But if you knew how to read between the lines, that statement was absolutely brutal. By 8 a.m. the next morning, every major fashion outlet had quoted it. The Guardian called it a quiet but unmistakable message. WWD said it was an open rebuke wrapped in elegance. And Vanity Fair? They went straight for it with a headline that made everyone stop scrolling. You can't bully Vogue either. The fashion world understood immediately. This wasn't just about one backstage incident. This was Anna drawing a line. You're either in or you're out. And if you're out, you stay out.
There is a new storm brewing around Meghan Markle, the wife of Prince Harry. All has started with an Instagram post.
What happened next was even more telling. Fashion houses that had been considering collaborations with Meghan suddenly went radio silent. Projects that were supposedly in development got quietly shelved. No announcements, no explanations, just nothing. One luxury brand that had been in talks with Meghan's team about a possible campaign They sent a one-line email. "We've decided to pursue a different direction." That was it. No meeting, no phone call, just done. Stylists started getting hesitant about lending clothes.
She's in Paris. She's actually maybe doesn't realize she's approaching the tunnel where Diana died. And then she shows herself putting her...
Not refusing outright, that would be too obvious. Just suddenly having scheduling conflicts or pieces being already committed to other clients. The message was clear without anyone saying it out loud. Working with Meghan had become complicated. And in fashion, complicated means not worth it. A reporter actually managed to corner Anna at a Louis Vuitton dinner a few days later. Bold move, honestly. They asked her directly about Meghan and the whole Paris situation. Anna stopped, adjusted her sunglasses, even though it was...
I saw a Meghan Markle video yesterday that I honestly was not sure if it was true, but now the New York Post has picked it up. I saw it from Meghan Markle on
evening and smiled slightly. "I don't discuss distractions." Then she walked away. Distractions. That one word cut deeper than any insult could have. Because Anna didn't call Meghan a problem, didn't call her difficult, didn't even acknowledge her as worthy of a real response. Just a distraction. In Anna's world, being ignored is worse than being criticized. Criticism means you matter enough to address. Being called a distraction, that means you're irrelevant. Meghan's team tried to fight back. They drafted response after response.
Breaking today, Meghan Markle pushes back against her Diana death stunt in Paris.
Statements about professionalism, about misunderstandings, about moving forward with grace. Sources say they wrote at least 5 different versions. They never released any of them. Because here's what they realized. Anything they said would just keep the story alive. And the longer it stayed in the news, the worse it got for Meghan. Sometimes the only move is to stay quiet and hope people forget. But the fashion industry wasn't forgetting. The invisible doors that had started closing after the clip leaked, they were now locked, bolted, sealed shut. Designers who'd once been open to dressing her were suddenly unavailable.
We may never know if Meghan actually knew that's where Princess Diana died, but if she didn't know, if she genuinely didn't...
Editors who might have featured her were finding other cover options. Invitations to shows, galas, events, all drying up. And through it all, Anna never said another word about it. Didn't need to. She'd made her statement. Vogue had spoken. The industry had listened. One fashion editor summed it up perfectly in a private conversation that later got leaked. Anna doesn't destroy people publicly. She erases them quietly. Once she decides you don't belong in her world, you just stop existing in it. That's exactly what was happening.
What I'm going to talk about today is even worse than that awkward head bump Meghan Markle gave Balenciaga's Italian designer when she tried...
Not a dramatic showdown, not a public feud. Just a slow, methodical removal from the inner circle of fashion. Like Meghan had never been there at all. And the craziest part? It all started with 5 words in a Balenciaga hallway. So what did we just witness? 2 worlds colliding. Old money restraint versus new money spectacle. And in one Paris night, the fashion industry made its choice. Anna's power was built over decades. Showing up, doing the work, earning respect, one decision at a time.
Meghan mocked a model who fell on the runway, and Camilla laughed at the Inuit people welcoming her. No one noticed that, in fact.
She doesn't perform for cameras because she doesn't need to. Her authority speaks for itself. Meghan built her brand on visibility, being seen, being talked about, controlling the narrative. For a while, it worked. But here's what Paris proved. You can manufacture an image, but you can't fake authority. In Anna's world, staying quiet is power. When you don't defend yourself, don't scramble to explain or justify. You're sending a message. I don't need to. And that's exactly what Anna did. 5 words backstage.
Fans slammed Meghan Markle for attending a Balenciaga fashion show after the brand was canceled for using children in a creepy...
One Vogue statement, then silence. While Meghan's team spiraled into damage control, watching doors close one by one, Anna just moved on. Like it never happened. Front wrote a footnote in less than a week. The leaked clip, the insider betrayal, the screenshots, the industry freeze out. It all happened because Meghan forgot the most important rule. When you're a guest in someone else's world, you respect it. She walked into Paris Fashion Week like she owned the place. She left knowing she'd never be invited back.
Meghan Markle just gave a masterclass in how to destroy your personal brand in 15 seconds. A viral
And here's what makes you think, in a world obsessed with being seen, with going viral, with building your brand at any cost, does real power still belong to the people who never need to prove anything? Anna answered that without saying a word. Sometimes the quietest voices carry the most weight. Sometimes the people who don't chase the spotlight are the ones who truly control it. And sometimes 5 words are all it takes. You can't bully my staff. That's how empires fall and legends stay standing. If this story blew your mind, do me a favor. Smash that like button. Seriously, it helps more than you know. And drop a comment below. What do you think? Was Anna right to call her out publicly, or should she have handled it differently?
4 traces showed that Meghan is trying to harm her husband to copy Diana's case. The Sussexes said they were involved.
Do you think Meghan can ever recover from this in the fashion world? Let me know your take. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're diving into more celebrity drama, fashion industry secrets, and the stories behind the headlines that you won't find anywhere else. Got someone in mind you want me to cover next? Drop their name in the comments. I read every single one. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.